Hey everybody, here's the latest on Storm Talk. Not a snow talk, but a storm talk. Second one this season I've had to do. I have a lot to cover. This is my second time trying to tape it, and I ran out of time. so let me try to speed up here. All right, here's today. Blue sky. Yay. Okay, we got it. Cool, but we got blue sky. Here's the setup for the weekend here. We've got one little piece that is going to move out Sunday night into Monday. The problem is, this has been sampled, so has our main low, by the way, for Tuesday. The sampling is now allowing for the first wave Sunday night into Monday to drag the cold front through the area as we head into Sunday night. When before, it stalled it out north of us. That is significant as far as how cool we get. The main system, another change here. Again, it's being sampled. We'll see if the sampling, it's still being sampled, so we'll see if the 0Z data, the evening data tonight, changes things. But the trend the past couple of days was for a deeper low. At one point, it had as a Euro had a 983 low, and when you get a deeper low pressure, they turn as they head to the higher latitudes here in the eastern part of the country, which in turn creates a stronger system, stronger south flow, record warm potential, and a severe weather outbreak and a blizzard on the northwest side that develops. However, if you trend to more of a weaker low, the low pressure then tracks more east, not so much dramatically to the north. So that will change not only your warming ahead of it, but also changes some of the dynamics. So that is something that we have been noticing for the midday model data. Now, it's one suit of models that have done this today. We've got to look at some ensemble data before we make our forecast this afternoon. We're going to do that once it's all in. It's not in yet. Once it's all in, Kevin and I will look over the ensemble data to see if we're going to trend this way or we're going to hold our own with the forecast as is. The ensembles will help us out on that. Having said that, let's dive right into the data here. First off, outside, we've got a temperature 43. That was our forecast high for today. Here's Futurecast, or the wind arrows. Tomorrow, nice, pleasant, upper 50s to around 60 degrees, a little breezy at times. Then we got a few clouds that increase Saturday night. Dew points go up too, so we're not going to see a big drop in temperature Sunday or Saturday night, likely staying in the 50s. But here's the change I mentioned with the first wave. It begins to approach our western counties just before sunset. It's still going to be a nice day, though. We're going to have a chance still to get into the 60s. But the front does move in, and it could produce some thunderstorms now for Sunday night and overnight Monday. And some of those thunderstorms may be a little gusty. At this point, I'm not going to go with severe weather, but a little gusty. Wouldn't rule it out. But notice, here comes the front. It's going to move in quick and dry us out and chill us out as we head into the nighttime period. And it's going to stay cool on Monday now that the front moves through. Storm Prediction Center has got just a general thunderstorm outlook for the south, but when we took that data today that came in and compared it to the analogs, the SIPS analogs came out with historical severe weather that has happened in this area for Sunday night and Monday's type of setup. And that looks reasonable. I think it's probably going to be more Nashville, maybe in Knoxville, though, if something were to develop. We'll watch it. Now, this outlook here is only updated once a day this far out from the Storm Prediction Center. This was updated at 5 a.m. And at that point, it still had a stronger low on the model data, so it was going with an outbreak of potential severe weather in our area, and especially here across Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama. It won't update again until after midnight tonight. I will be curious to see with the trends of the sampling of a weaker low, if that forces the potentials here to go south. It's still likely to produce severe weather, all right, but perhaps not as intense of an area or as widespread. Here is the GFS winds aloft. GFS still has a decent low. I believe it was about a 995 or 996. I can't remember the number offhand. That was roughly the number. But even that, it still shows strong winds aloft, about 1 mile up, that are about 70 to 80 knots. So this still has a lot of wind energy. But if you don't have a lot, you reduce, even more so than we already had, you reduce the ability for the clouds to build up enough, the instability to tap into those winds. Those winds just stay up there. They don't bother us. But if we can get clouds to build up into these wind fields, that's when you got to watch out for damaging winds that can go to the surface, and that's when you can produce severe weather and wind damage. That's what we got to watch for. Now, here's the sounding from the GFS for 7 o'clock Tuesday evening. I think that's when the line arrives on Tuesday. You're looking at ground level up. Looks pretty similar, saturated, most areas drier in the upper layers, a good chance to produce the ability to get some of these winds to push down, FYI. But the LCL condensation level is a little higher. Again, that white line. You go south of that white line, and we get an LCL closer to the ground level, you got to watch out for tornado potential. It has increased a little higher up, so the tornado threat has been reduced even more. It wasn't even high to begin with, but has been reduced even more. But look at even the directional shear. The arrows at the surface, you don't have as much red lengthy lines here, the best way I could describe that. So the directional shear is not, there's directional shear, don't get me wrong, so we cannot rule out an isolated, weak, brief tornado in these lines of thunderstorms, or likely actually will be one line of thunderstorms, the trends are anyway. But you're not going to look at big-time tornadoes like March 2nd, 2012, like everybody's worried about. This is not even close to a profile that looks like that. So do not worry about that. But there is a lot of speed shear. Yes, that is there. So again, very strong winds just above the tree line. And if we can get clouds to build up into those winds, we've got to watch out for wind damage potential. When you look at the capes, right now it's saying 0 because again, it's no instability really taking place. Even the LIs, which is anytime you see this get to 0 or into the negatives, you get into potential for lightning and thunder. Even that is not even into the 0 or negative territory. So these could be heavy showers. If you were to take this verbatim on the GFS, heavy showers with damaging winds. Well, that sounds like a nice forecast. I think there will be a little bit of lightning, but I think there won't be a lot. All right. Tornado threat box here for at least EF2 or higher. Again, not a tornado setup. No worries when it comes to that. There is a lot of helicity with this. Values, though, about 787. That is impressive because we're closer now to the low pressure because the low is going to be closer to us now that it's a weaker low, and that's understandable. But that doesn't mean anything if you don't have the instability to tap into that type of energy. I hope that all makes sense. Here is the European model. Here are the wind arrows, the surface. Here is the warm front. I can tell that because it's a due east wind. All right? Here's the warm front. It was supposed to be up here Tuesday morning. Now it is showing up along the Ohio River in I-64 Tuesday morning. Therefore, we're going to start off cooler Tuesday morning in the 40s instead of near 60. That's a big difference. In fact, look at that. In our northern counties, if we have any precipitation on the warm front, you could see sleet potentially on that profile. And there's the warm air to the south. So we head into the afternoon now. Here's the afternoon European model. At that point, it takes the warm front way up here to the Great Lakes. Okay, good. That's a good sign. It tells us the warm front's going to be very progressive. The low pressure is higher, not lower like it was. It's at 995 millibars, but look how close it is to us now. So we're only going to be in the warm sector for a brief period, it looks like, for instability, and the low is closer to us. Here's where the low was yesterday at this time, west of St. Louis. And again, today, the low pressure is a good 80 miles or if not 100 miles to the east. So that is a significant jog to the east. Even saying that, though, it is still showing with that, again, jog to the east, 60s are still on the table for Tuesday. And it's still going to be windy. Now, we may not get the record levels, though, because we have much more to climb now. Instead of climbing from 57, 58 to 70 in the afternoon, we're going to have to climb from the mid-40s to try to get to 70. That's going to be really hard to do with the south wind. Not impossible, but it's going to be a much more of a challenge. So we may have to lower the high temperature on Tuesday. The record is 68. We'll decide at news time how much lower we need to do that. Here is the European model for 7 in the afternoon or evening. It shows the line breaking out. Here's that low, again, close to us. P watts are high, so this is a very heavy rain producer for along this line, it looks like. I don't see this breaking out as supercells because the line is now likely to initiate on us, or at least between Evansville and Corydon is where I think the storms develop. They're not likely to be supercells initially, though, because the speed shear is going to be so much stronger than the directional shear, as I showed you on the sounding, that they just won't have a chance to become supercellular. They get torn apart that way. They will automatically congeal into a line. So this is a linear event, better chance for maybe supercells in this area. So if there were to be still an enhanced or a moderate risk, it's probably going to be down in here. We would probably be in the slight risk here in Kentucky if we go by just today's data alone and the low moves off to the east by the overnight period. Again, it looks to be straight line winds to me at this point. Here is the Canadian. My goodness, the Canadian. Look at this. 997. Again, it's a lower or a higher pressure. Therefore, it's more to the east. Again, lower pressure, it would go more west. A weaker low is going to go more east. So it puts it over Paducah, Kentucky. In fact, in the morning hours, it does give our northern counties some sleet and snowflakes Tuesday morning. And then it takes the low to the north of that and brings us to a heavy rain event. And really, when you look at the Canadian, by the way, it doesn't show any potential for really severe weather, just heavy rain on the Canadian side. So rainfall potential, the Canadian's not on here, but again, a good heavy rain producer, potentially about an inch, if not an inch and a half. That's the latest data. We will continue to analyze this, but at least the threat for a big-time severe weather event has been slightly reduced.